Welcome. Today we're going to be talking about metals, nonmetals, and metalloids. We're going to open up our notebooks to page 45. And we're going to go ahead and title our page Metals, Nonmetals, and Metalloids. So I can pause right here and go ahead and write that down. Be sure on this that you skip the same amount of lines that I do and try and take as much space as I do. And the first thing we're going to be talking about is properties. And the first property that we're going to be talking about is luster. And luster describes having a shiny appearance or reflecting light. You can pause the video here to write down your definition. So for an example, I have a piece of aluminum foil here, and you can see how shiny it is, which is pretty much what luster is all about. The next property we're going to talk about is conductivity, which is a property that describes if heat or electricity passes through the material easily. And we did that in our lab on Friday when we used the conductivity kits. So you can pause here to finish the rest of the definition. Our next property is malleability. Malleability describes the ability to be rolled or hammered into thin sheets or even bend. And you can pause the video here to finish your definition. So I'm going to bring back the aluminum foil, and we can see that it's also very thin, as you've probably experienced as well. I can bend it, it's flat, and so this is an example of malleability. I'm going to go through two more properties. The first one is magnetism, which describes if the material is magnetic, as you know. And the second one I'm going to talk about is ductility. And ductility, or it being ductile, describes if the material has the ability to be pulled into thin wires without breaking. Again, you can pause the video to finish up your definitions. So I have an example of something that we used in the lab on Friday that represents ductility. And that's our little light bulbs that we use. You can see the wires that are in them. You can see how stringy they were. And those things represent ductility. The last property we're going to talk about is brittle, or brittleness. And that's when the material is likely to break, snap, or crack when subjected to pressure. And you can pause the video here to finish your definition. So here I have a piece of chalk that we also used in the lab, and some of y'all were able to do it, but just break it easily, just like this, so that it represents brittleness. So for the remainder of our paper, we're going to divide it up into three sections, and we'll label those three sections metals. The middle one will be nonmetals, and the last one will be metalloids. So for some notes on metals, we know that they're hard or usually solid. They're also usually shiny. They're also malleable and or ductile. And they're able to conduct heat and electricity easily. Go ahead and write your definition here. For nonmetals, they're usually a gas or brittle at room temperature, like the chalk. They're also not malleable or ductile or shiny. And they're also very poor conductors of heat and electricity. So go ahead and pause the video here to finish up the rest of your notes on nonmetals. And finally, metalloids. Metalloids really just share properties of both metals and some nonmetals. And that is it. So hopefully you're able to fit everything in on page 45. This is the snapshot of the rest of it. And be sure to study these properties and different characteristics for any assessments or something like that that may come up in the future. See you next time.